What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Fuel channel, where we speak the truth, we're honest, we give our takes. On the Miami Dolphins, things are for sure going great for the Miami Dolphins right now. They had a 3-game division lead over the Buffalo Bills with 5 to play, and they're walking away with the regular season over, not the division champions. Oh my goodness. I still have more to talk about with last night's game, which is why I'm here today. It's basically another therapy session, kind of like I did last week for Therapy Monday after a loss to the Ravens, and now I'm here again. Just basically talking about everything that happened last night, everything that's going on with this organization. And right now, I have a sheet of paper in front of me with things that I want to talk about. And there's a lot on here. And we have 6 topics to talk about. And we're going to get into all of it. We're definitely going to get into all of it. But let's see. Got out of here around 12:30 last night. I didn't fall asleep until about 2:30. Got about 6 hours of sleep, 6.5 hours of sleep. Woke up, immediately started looking at Twitter. Dolphins Twitter still, it's still a mess. There's big time conversations going on. A lot of people are very disgruntled, and this is not surprising to me because absolutely by the reactions that I've seen this morning, a lot of people now are having the same reaction that I did last week. And when last week had transpired and they no-showed to Baltimore and they gave up 56 to Baltimore, man, I knew this team was in trouble. And they are banged up at the wrong time of the year. They are they're catching Buffalo at the right time. And ladies and gentlemen, I listened to a podcast. I listened to the I think it was the DolphinsTalk.com post-game recap video. And they said, I think it was Mike that said, at the end of the year, good teams who are legit contenders play the best ball at the end of the season. And right now, for a second year in a row, the Miami Dolphins are not playing their best football right now. And the team like the Buffalo Bills have been playing their best football. And quite frankly, they've been playing their best football ever since they fired Ken Dorsey. They made a big change when they lost to the Denver Broncos. They fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. And basically, when Joe Brady took over, that's when their season changed. Yes, they played one of their best games of the season on offense and still lost to Philadelphia. And then after the bye week, they go to Kansas City, and that is when they started to play their best football. They beat the Chiefs, they beat Dallas, they beat the Chargers, they beat the Patriots, and last night, in ugly fashion, they beat the Miami Dolphins. And I have the biggest topics to talk about today are going to be Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. And the two main reasons as to why the Bills are the AFC East champions for 4 years in a row. Number one, coaching. Mike McDaniel again got out-coached. Not surprising. And then number two, quarterback play. Who made more plays when it mattered most? Josh Allen made more plays than Tua Tagovailoa did, and it wasn't even close. So we have a lot on the plate to talk about. I don't want to waste any more time. If you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and check out the post-game recap video that I did last night, recapping the 21-14 defeat to the Buffalo Bills, and the Dolphins have now earned a trip to Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday night. It is exclusively on Peacock. And hold on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, the high on Saturday is 17 degrees. So at nighttime, it'll be below 10 degrees. And the high is 17 degrees. Then it is going to be freezing temperatures on Saturday night. This team is fucked. They're fucked. It's just the simplest way to put it. They're screwed going into this primetime game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, man, I got so much stuff that I want to talk about. Let's just get right into it. And ladies and gentlemen, I got a head start over everybody last week. I talked about this man last week. I'm going to talk about him again. It is Mike McDaniel. And ladies and gentlemen, I've came to the realization that Mike McDaniel is going to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins going into the 2024 season. He's going to be the head coach. Chris Greer is not going to fire Mike McDaniel because, he's taken this team to the playoffs for 2 years in a row. Whoop-de-fucking-do. It doesn't matter unless you win a playoff game. So, we'll talk about it at the end. But this game against Kansas City means more than this game that happened last night against Buffalo. But let's talk about McDaniel. He once again coached a terrible, terrible football game. Let's talk about that second half clock management. Oh boy, the clock management. When Buffalo tied the game after the punt return touchdown, okay? They tied the game 14-14. The Dolphins wasted a minute and a half off the clock. They immediately went 3 and out, and they gave Buffalo plenty of time, and Buffalo went down, and they scored again. And then, when Buffalo takes a 21-14 lead, the Dolphins, once again, they go 3 and out. 3 passes in a row from Tua Tagovailoa, and it only took a minute and 2 seconds off the clock. And then, at this point, your offense is doing so bad, they just went 3 and out in back-to-back possessions. Mike McDaniel has to waste his timeouts because he needs to save time in case his offense gets on the field again. And they blew by their timeouts. They had 1 timeout remaining when it was 3rd and 13. Josh Allen scrambles for a first down. A lot of people on Dolphins Twitter calling out Kader Kohou for the effort that he put in on that play. Yeah, it was pathetic, but it wouldn't have mattered because Jalen Ramsey got called for a holding penalty. And if he was short, it would have given him a first down anyway because of that penalty. But my point is, he blew by these timeouts because of the offense and how terrible the offense was in the second half. And it got to a point where the Dolphins had no timeouts remaining. And it was 2nd down. And Josh Allen scrambled. His hand was out of bounds before he fell on the grass. And he was out of bounds. But Mike McDaniel couldn't challenge that because he had no timeouts. So, bro, if he had one of those timeouts, he's able to throw that challenge flag, and shit, he might actually win that challenge. So, who knows? The clock management in the second half was piss poor last night. So that's the first thing that I have on this list about McDaniel. Let's go to the next thing. Too much Tyreek. I didn't want to buy into this trend, but after last night, I pretty much have to. You have no Jalen Waddle again, and somebody has to step up. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you noticed, but Durham Smythe was wide open all night. Even if he wasn't open by much, he was wide open. That interception to Chase Claypool, Durham Smythe was wide open underneath the flat. Just throw it to him. He's got coverage on him, but throw it in front of him and let him go and catch it. Durham Smythe was getting separation all night, but Tua did not throw it to him because Mike McDaniel has too many plays called up for Tyreek Hill. It's way too much. It's way too much. Excuse me. And this is when I knew it was way too much. Tua Tagovailoa threw the ball 27 times last night. Threw the ball 27 times. Out of those 27 passes, 13 of them, yes, 13 of those 27 passes were to Tyreek Hill. They are forcing the ball to Tyreek Hill way too much. Way too much. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not going to stop because do you really think that this man is not going to get the football in his return to Kansas City? They're going to jam that narrative down our throats. They're going to jam that storyline down our throats the entire week. Tyreek Hill's return to Kansas City. Yes, I know it's a big deal. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. But right now, the bigger picture is the way this team is performing right now over, Tyreek Hill's returning to his former team stadium, Arrowhead. We got bigger things to worry about than Tyreek Hill going back to Kansas City. And look, I understand he is your best offensive weapon. Tyreek Hill is a spectacular player. He's amazing. He had 119 receptions, 1,799 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And Sean McDermott, throughout his career in Kansas City, when he's played against Kansas City and the Dolphins, has had a really good game plan against Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had his best game ever, statistic-wise, against the Bills in his career. He had 7 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And if he catches a couple more passes, Tyreek Hill is way over 100 yards last night against the Bills. But it's too much. And I do think hopefully Jalen Waddle coming back next week, fingers crossed, will help. But I don't know. It's not going to stop because if you don't think this guy's going to get the ball against his former team, then you're out of your damn mind. Abandoning the run. I mean, I touched up on this last night, and I really don't know what to say. The Dolphins have a good running game. Yes, it's better than last year, but again, they abandoned the run. They did the same thing last year against Buffalo. Twice. The first game in Buffalo in December, they ran for 100 yards in the first quarter. Raheem Mostert averaged over 100 yards in the first quarter. And in the playoff game, you're winning 24-20. 3rd and 17 at your own 8-yard line, with Skylar Thompson at quarterback, and Mike McDaniel drops Skylar Thompson back to throw a deep ball to Trent Sherfield, and he underthrows it for an interception. Last night, Jeff Wilson and Javon Achane averaged over 5 yards a carry. They averaged over 5 yards a carry in the first half. What do they do in the second half? They run the ball 3 times. Again, this is another situation where Mike McDaniel's like, oh, I'm smarter than you. I know you're making adjustments in there. So, yeah, we're going to come out there and we're going to throw the ball. And Buffalo did not bait at that shit at all. At all. They didn't fall for it. And it goes to show that they are a well-coached football team. They just are. And then no discipline. This team has no discipline, bro. None. Look at the penalties last night. False starts all over the place. Illegal man downfield, I believe, twice. Once on Robert Hunt. The second was on Austin Jackson. This team is not disciplined, man. Special teams with Danny Crossman. They're not disciplined at all. They're not a smart football team. They're not sharp. They're all over the place. They're confused. They're getting penalties. Players are running into each other on defense, creating wide open plays for Dalton Kincaid. This team has they have no discipline. They have no discipline at all. And that's on the head coach. I blame the coach for that. And it shows. It shows on the field. Okay. So we just talked about McDaniel. Let's talk about Tua. I hate doing this. I really do. I don't want to do this. I love Tua. Tua's a great guy. He seems to be a great off-field guy. I think Tua, he went through a lot in his career. And to see him have a good season and to stay healthy, it makes me happy. And by the way, congrats to him on being able to play an entire full season without getting healthy. That's one of the questions that needed to be answered. Can Tua Tagovailoa stay healthy for an entire season? Yes. He just proved it this year. Now the question going into next season is, can the team stay healthy? Because for 2 years in a row now, this team has not been able to stay healthy late in the season, and it's affected them in the playoffs. Last year and now this year, they're going into Kansas City on crutches. But I digress. I don't want to talk about injuries too much, because injuries are not the reason why we lost last night. I could talk about injuries another day this week. But now is not the time, because it's not the reason why we lost last night. I want to talk about Tua. Back-to-back years now, Tua has had a wonderful September. Last year, he did not have a good October because that was when the whole concussion shit happened. This year, he had a good October outside of the Eagles and Bills game. Played good against the Giants, besides a couple picks. Played well against Carolina. Played well against the Patriots. He played great against the Broncos. His best game of the season was against the Chargers. Balled out against Washington. Balled out against the Jets. You see where I'm getting at here? Tua Tagovailoa has no problem beating the shitty teams. He can beat the Patriots. He can beat the Jets. He can beat the Panthers by 3 touchdowns. He can beat the Broncos. He can beat the Commanders. Sure. The only game he slipped up on this year against a bad team was the Titans. But this dude cannot win the big games. And it's abundantly clear. And if he can't win big games when we need him most, this team is going nowhere with him at quarterback. And again, I hate I hate saying this because I love Tua, but if he can't win big games, bro, the Dolphins are going to go nowhere with him. This is their future. First road games, first round. That's their future. If he can't get the job done. I saw a post on Twitter this morning, and it was every single late season game, really important game for Tua Tagovailoa throughout his career. This goes back to his rookie season. I don't know who this is from, but I found it on Twitter. It's good information. I figured I'd relay it to you guys. So this is all of Tua Tagovailoa's late season games. Key games late in the season. 2020 at the Bills. The Dolphins win. They're in the playoffs. They go to Buffalo. They lose 56-26. Tua played horrible in that game. 2021, they go to Tennessee. They win that game. They're in the playoffs. They lose. They're out. Terrible conditions, but Tua played terrible once again. The Titans won 34-3. 0 for 2. Last year, at San Francisco won 33-17. 0 for 3. Last year, at the Chargers, Tua versus Herbert, Sunday Night Football. Tua played like shit. It was one of the worst games of his career. I would still say that was the worst game of his career. 0 for 4. Last year, at the Bills, Saturday night, win and you're in the playoffs. Loss, 32-29. Played good in that game, but still lost. 0 for 5. Last year, Green Bay, at home, win and you're in the playoffs. Lost 26-20. Don't give me the excuse that he got a concussion. He threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter. 0 for 6. This year, on Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, did not play good at all. And the team blew a 28-27 lead. If you are a franchise quarterback, when you're winning 27-21, you pick up 1 first down to close the game. 1. He did not pick up 1 first down. 0 for 7. I'm going to continue. This year, against the Dallas Cowboys, win and you're in the playoffs. He won that game. He played good enough in that game to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Sanders kicked 5 field goals to send the Dolphins to the playoffs, but Tua didn't play bad in that game. Tua played good enough. 1 for what are we at here? 1-7. This year, last week, at Baltimore, number 1 seed on the line. Win, and as of right now, you're the number 1 seed in the AFC. He goes to Baltimore, and he lays an egg in a 56-19 blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens. 1-8. And then last night, at home, against the Buffalo Bills, win, and you're AFC East champions. Lost. Shit the bed last night. 1-9. In big games late in the season, Tua Tagovailoa has proven on his resume that he is not clutch. And don't come to me and tell me, oh, but what about the Ravens game last year? Oh, but what about the Chargers game when he threw for 466 on the road? Those games aren't in this category. You know why? Because those games were played in September. These players can come out to the media and say, oh, every game is the same. When we're playing in September and when we're playing in December, every game is the same. No, it's not. Don't believe the bullshit. Games mean more in December than they do in September. So now Tua has created this narrative that it doesn't matter what you do in September, October, November. All anybody's going to care about is what you do in December and what you do in January if you get there. That's all anybody's going to care about. And Tua put that on himself. And let's talk about the contract extension. Because the Dolphins are in cap hell this offseason. They do not have a lot of cap space. And they have a lot of players set to be in free agency if they are not re-signed. And I believe to help that cap space, they're going to have to re-sign Tua this offseason. Whether you like it or not, the Miami Dolphins are going to extend Tua Tagovailoa. Is he going to get Jalen Hurts money? I would not give him Jalen Hurts money. I would not give him $255 million. He hasn't deserved it. He hasn't deserved it. I don't care about individual stats. I don't care that he's leading the league in passing yards. I don't care that he's the top AFC quarterback in Pro Bowl. I don't care about that. That's good for him, but for the team, that's not good. No one cares about that. You know what people care about? Results. Late in the season. Are you beating the good teams that you have to beat to get to where you want to go? Are you getting the big wins to clinch the division? Are you getting playoff wins, bro? And right now, he's not. And right now, as of January 8th, 2024, Tua Tagovailoa does not deserve top 5 quarterback money. And anything over $40 million a year, I'm going to be mad. I'm legit going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. And it's the same situation as the New York Giants were in with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a good season for the Giants last year. He got the Giants a playoff win in Minnesota. And the Giants had no choice but to pay Daniel Jones. I believe it was 4 years, $40 million. What happened this year to Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones got hurt so many times. The Giants, their quarterback situation was terrible. And now Daniel Jones is holding that organization hostage because their organization paid him $40 million. The Dolphins are in the same situation as the Giants were last year with Daniel Jones, and don't tell me otherwise. Okay? Don't tell me otherwise. So, we got the McDaniel. We got the Tua. We kind of talked about Tyreek when talking about McDaniel. So I'm not going to waste my time talking about Tyreek again. Let's talk about the defense. The defense, I actually thought played well last night. The Bills had one legit drive where it looked great. It looked great, and it was the drive that they went ahead and they took a 21-14 lead. They scored the first touchdown off a deflection. There's nothing you can do about that. I can't even get mad about that. That's just luck. And it was a great catch by Trent Sherfield. There's nothing you can do about that. With all the banged up players that they had last night, and all the backups that were playing, Melvin Ingram, Emmanuel Ogbah, Cameron Good, who's now hurt, Duke Riley was in at points in the game, Eli Apple, Brandon Jones was in at points of the game, who I think has really proved himself this year, and he's made some really nice plays last night. This crew came ready to play. No matter what, they came ready to play. And they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year. A lot. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Jerome Baker, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, Deshaun Elliott for 2 games, Javon Holland. Am I missing anybody else? Probably Andrew Van Ginkel now. The only consistent players that have stayed on the field all season for the Miami Dolphins defense has been Christian Wilkins, Zach Zeeler, and David Long. Which, by the way, that Zach Zeeler contract, when they gave him a 3-year deal, seems to be paying off because the big man got double-digit sacks this season. Congratulations to the big man, Zach Zeeler. And what about Christian Wilkins? Let me tell you something. That man bet on himself this offseason. He's like, you know what? You're not going to pay me the money I'm asking for. I'm going to show you this season why I'm worth what I'm asking for. He went out there and he bet on himself, and by God, he won. He was great this season, and he made big plays when you needed him to. He was quiet against the Ravens last week. He was quiet in the Titans game. But there were some other games this season where he made some big plays. Cowboys game, he made a couple big plays. I can't remember any other games, but he had 63 tackles this season, 9 sacks, and a forced fumble on Josh Allen last night. He bet on himself, and he hit a home run. He hit a home run. And now he's a free agent going into this offseason. You're not going to franchise tag Christian Wilkins. No way. He deserves the money that he's asking for. He deserves $25 million a season. And guess what, Chris Greer? If you're not going to pay $25 million a year for Christian Wilkins, then guess what? He's as good as gone, and another contending team will pick him up, and they will pay him the money that he is asking for. So, when it's off-season time, get to work, because you better find a way to pay this guy. He is the heart and soul of this Dolphins defense, and if he's gone, that would be a huge, huge loss for this Miami Dolphins defense. But I don't know what's going to happen against Kansas City. Andrew Van Ginkel is probably not going to play. Cameron Good got a non-contact injury last night. They have 2 pass rushers. The Miami Dolphins have 2 pass rushers on their roster right now. Melvin Ingram and Emmanuel Ogbah. Melvin Ingram wasn't even on this team a month ago. Melvin Ingram didn't even start playing until I think the Cowboys game. Emmanuel Ogbah has been riding the bench all season, besides when he's gotten in games in garbage time. And you gave him a healthy scratch last week against the Baltimore Ravens. Now he's got a lot to prove. He's not only playing for his team, he's playing for himself to prove to other teams, hey, I'm a free agent. I'm worth the contract. I'm worth a big-time contract. And he was great under Brian Flores. And I said it last week, and I will say it again. He was great under Brian Flores, but in this system with Vic Fangio, he's just not working out. He doesn't fit in this Vic Fangio system. But guess what? We're going to need him next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's going to have a lot to play for, Emmanuel Ogbah. So, I better not see anybody on social media, on Twitter, shitting on this defense, because they kept you in this game. Let's be real. It's just like the Chiefs game in Germany. They kept you in this game. They allowed 14 points to Patrick Mahomes, and they allowed 14 points to Josh Allen. They kept you in the game, and the offense let them down. And the defense was playing with a bunch of backups last night against Josh Allen, and the offense still let them down. I got two more things to talk about, then we're going to get out of here. The AFC East collapse. No, I don't want to talk about this. This made Dolphin fans look stupid because after the Bills lost to the Eagles, there were Dolphin fans on Twitter, including myself. I will put myself in the jar, saying that there's not a shot that the Bills are going to win the division. The Bills are just not playing good right now, and the Dolphins have too big of a lead over the Bills. And we were flat out wrong. And you know what? We should have known better, knowing the history of this franchise. And I literally opened up talking about this last night in my open. I'll say it again, same thing I said last night. That game against the Tennessee Titans costed you the division. You hold on against the Titans, and the division is won before Week 18. The Dolphins have a home playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers if they beat the Titans. And then they don't beat the Titans. They can't stop Will Levis with a minute and a half. They can't stop DeAndre Hopkins whatsoever. Bradley Chubb slams his helmet on the field, causing a 15-yard penalty. The Dolphins can't score touchdowns. That game against the Titans costed them the season. And media outlets are saying the Dolphins, they choked. They don't have a chance against Kansas City. And you can't say anything to the national media people this week. All you have to do is take it up the chin and just fucking deal with it. Because this team brung it upon themselves. And what they brung upon themselves is a trip to Arrowhead Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the game on Saturday night is on Peacock. Exclusively on Peacock. It will not be streaming on NBC. If you want to watch this game, Dolphin fans, it has to be on Peacock. And I've seen a couple fans on Twitter complaining about the game being on Peacock. And, I mean, Jesus, you paid hundreds of dollars for the Sunday ticket. I got it under the student deal, so I got a fantastic deal. Can't wait to get it again next year. You paid hundreds of dollars for the NFL Sunday ticket. You pay hundreds of dollars for new merchandise every single year, whether it's a new jersey or pajama pants or stuff that you want to put in your room, like a helmet or a rug or a hat, a new t-shirt. You spend hundreds of dollars on merchandise. You spend thousands of dollars for airfare and hotels and rental cars and tickets to the Dolphins game at Hard Rock Stadium or whenever they're on the road. Yet, you don't want to pay $6. You don't want to pay $6 to watch a playoff game from the Miami Dolphins. That's honestly sad. That is sad. That's pathetic, to be honest with you. But now they earned themselves a game Saturday night at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where it is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, the high is going to be 17 degrees. It'll be 17 degrees, and it will get as low as 2 degrees by kickoff. It doesn't bode well for the Miami Dolphins. You are a team from South Florida where you've been dealing with the heat all season, and now they haven't really dealt with a cold weather game this season. It wasn't really that cold in Baltimore. I was at that game. It was 50 degrees and sunny. There was no terrible weather conditions last year. It was cold in Buffalo twice when they played them last year. Now, going on the road in the playoffs, this is the first time they're going to be dealing with a cold weather game this season. And yeah, I'm worried about my quarterback in this weather. I'm worried about Tua in the weather like this. I'm worried about the offense playing in weather like this. How are they going to be able to operate? They're clearly not going to be able to be the same offense. They're going to have to run the fucking football. Is McDaniel smart enough to run the football? Because he likes to be like, oh, you're not, I'm smarter than you. You're making adjustments for the run. I'm going to come at you passing the ball. Why? Because I'm smarter than you, pal. That's just not the case. So is the coach smart enough to run the football in 2-degree weather? I don't know. Do they have a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Obviously, yes. And the reason I say yes is because their offense is not the same. Their receivers stink outside of Rashee Rice. Their receivers stink. And the way you beat the Chiefs on offense is the same thing you did last game. Besides, I would put Jalen Ramsey on Rashee Rice. They're not going to do that, but I would. That's not going to happen, though. But what they did last game against Kelsey in Germany was they bracketed Kelsey. Kelsey had 14 receiving yards in Germany last year. And the Chiefs don't really have a strong running game either. So, as weird as this sounds, with all of our backups on defense, with absolutely no pass rush whatsoever, outside of besides the interior of Wilkins and Zach Zealer, I actually might feel comfortable with our defense going into this game. What I don't feel comfortable about is the offense. They got owned by the Chiefs' defense in Germany. The Chiefs' defense dominated that game in Germany. It wasn't because of the Chiefs' offense that they won that game. It was their defense. And now, with this cold weather, how are they going to be able to operate? I don't know. But we are going to be here all week talking about it. I'm probably not going to make a video tomorrow. Just going to take the day off tomorrow. Wednesday, I'll probably make another video. And then I don't know when the preview is going to be because Saturday night we got a game. The game is Saturday night. So probably it depends when the first injury report comes out. Maybe Thursday night, maybe Friday. I don't know. I honestly don't know. They're probably going to be traveling out on Friday. So, which I think is a mistake, honestly, because they should be preparing for this weather. But what are they going to do to prepare for this weather? They're probably going to be wearing T-shirts saying "I wish it were colder." Yeah, that's gonna solve the problem. I better not see any cute jokes out of this head coach either this week. And he's actually on stage right now, so I'm going to watch it on the replay. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, comment down below, hit the like button if you liked what you heard from me. 45 minutes of breaking down every single problem with the Miami Dolphins right now. Yeah, guys, I'm out of here. I will see you Wednesday talking more Dolphins, Chiefs in round one of the playoffs. Peace.